Hi, welcome to Brainstorm, a podcast about writing, genre fiction, and moral quandaries. I'm fantasy author Clifton Hill, and I'm fresh out of neurons. In episode 9, I'm going to read a chapter of my book, Kip the Quick, a fantasy heist. So, this came out in 2016, and I have the sequel coming out soon. The back of the book here: witty, fast-paced fantasy heist where morality is debatable. Kip is a young thief on the hard streets of Tander in the middle of the Sparelands, a dry, hot piece of hell, hit with frequent and terrible storms. All he wants to do is leave, but first he must save enough to cover fare for the only safe exit in town, the Iron Wain. With 6 months to go, the job of a lifetime lands in his lap: to steal a vial of the essence, a piece of myth and legend. He'll do anything to pull it off, but the question is, will he survive? And I'm going to read for you today Chapter 10, Master Plan. This is where he is doing research on how to pull off the heist and also getting his team together. The sound of water bubbled near, flowing as if by magic in a desert where the only water to be had was held in barrels, in vaulted cisterns, and in a great aquifer below the ground, all built, it was said, by some clever Tunair engineers 1,000 years ago, built on the backs of 1,000 Tandunese. But that was a minor missing point. I strolled along a manicured lane with arched entryways, my nose deep in a red leather book. The shopkeeper's sign swung on the building's front, squeaking in the hot breeze. The title of engineer was emblazoned with gold paint and carved by a master woodworker. I was trying to work out a chapter on the tensile strength of pine, while inside the shop I could hear the proprietor stomping around upstairs, shouting for his apprentice. "Where did you put Kalin's Book of Practical Physics? I need to reread the chapter on gravitational acceleration." Boy, he sounded mad. I took another bite of a dried fig and turned the page. "What book, sir?" "The one I've been telling you to read for 2 straight weeks. The one that's been sitting on my workbench untouched." "Oh, that one." I tried not to snicker. "You are useless, a disgrace. This is a vital point of your tutelage, a necessity. I will not have a student of mine scouring the earth with ignorance and tarnishing the name that I have built up over 4 decades. Do you know the ransoms that have been paid for my work? Kings have requested me by name. I should put you on the street. But my father would never stand for such lassitude. Find the book, then you will finally read the book. And I wondered what he would say about the book on weights and measures tucked under my arm. I turned a corner, close to a window, as 2 ladies glided by, their veils shimmering with silk and lace. They glanced my way, but with a plain coat and barely burnished boots, I was far beneath their notice. Just like I wanted. A few pages further, scrawled in the margins, were specifications on a water pump, right next to an illustration of what was said to be the entire world, with text on some concept called gravity. I paused before a shop with enough silver crafts arranged behind the window to spark another rebellion. The world was round? I looked up, seeing the rim of the ravine wall in the distance with blue sky behind. I shrugged and skipped forward to the section on acceleration. The loaf of bread was heavy in my bag, or perhaps it was the figs, all 5 of them. I was proud of myself and happy with my mission. At the end of the alley, a boy as thin as a rail, covered in rags, balanced on his hands, pivoting from one hand to the next, twisting around, clapping a hand to first one foot, then the other as people passed by, the busy lane moving into the center of Fuller's Market. A woman pulling a small wooden cart piled high with red, plump pomegranates tossed 2 copper bits into the cracked clay jar before the beggar. The boy leapt to his feet, bowed deeply, then pulled 5 flat rocks from a pouch and began to juggle. Except the boy was actually a girl named Dina, who liked her hair short and had no interest in the attentions that most girls on the street got when they begged. Question was, how long could she keep the local flesh peddler from finding out? I ambled slowly down the lane, my feet whispering like a secret, then stood there behind her like a sand-robed ghost on the street. A man with a thin red veil covering his nose strutted past, a carved stick in his hand striking the cobblestones with each stride, never looking her way once, not even when she caught all 5 rocks, set them spinning on the ground, then spun in place herself. I clapped once, and Dina wobbled. "Kip!" I put up my hand to catch her, but she turned the misbalance into a cartwheel, her teeth shining with a smile. "I brought you something." "You never bring me something." "That's not true. I brought you 3 hard-boiled eggs and an apricot pepper jam just a week ago, yesterday." "It was 3 weeks ago, and 2 eggs, not 3. The jam was good, though." She brushed a lock of hair from her eyes. "What do you want?" "Want?" I placed a hand on my chest, affronted. But I was too tired to play overmuch, and gestured over my shoulder. "This way." "Nothing clever to say, Kippy? You've always got 10 words past too many. Gorgo's pa finally make a punch land to your head? Knock a joke or 2 loose?" I said nothing. Just tapped my bag, tossed it her way, and waltzed down the alley humming. She peered inside, eyes lighting up at the bounty. "Miggs and Rum Tum about?" "They're around." "How about Donk and Squeaky Pete?" Pink juice ran down Dina's little chin as she glanced up with surprise. "What are you planning this time, Kip?" "Oh, just a little something. Nothing much." I flashed a smile, but she didn't believe one word. Dina was like a den mother. Her acrobatics, winning smile, and sharp wits made her more coin than 10 others, and kept her 10 steps ahead of inhospitable peacekeepers. And 11 little street rats, spindly, knob-kneed, and without a hope in this world otherwise, depended on her. Oh, sure, they had earned their own bit of coin and stole more than half that, but when it came to feeding themselves and keeping out of trouble, Dina took the reins in hand. I'd call them her gang, but a bunch of 7- and 8-year-olds wandering like stray dogs, skulking like cats, and stealing like rats hardly evoked the vision of a gang of anything. "And how are the girls?" "Out with it, Kip," she urged with a jab to my ribs with her sharp elbow. "You need them all, I see it true. You may waltz down the Ave of Lords, having them wall-dwellers thinking you were born in shade. I know you too well, and I'll not risk my kids without knowing it all." You had to love Dina. She always said it like it was. And did I owe her any less? How about we start with how much? Dina squinted her eyes, her freckled, dusky nose wrinkling up tight. 1 Mac. She halted in the alley, breath whistling across chapped lips. A whole copper Mac. I think I had her attention. Make it 2. She barely missed a beat. If it was possible, I winced and smiled at the same time. So, if you're interested, sign up for the newsletter. Go to cliftonh.com, click on newsletter to sign up. You will find out when the book goes on sale soon, and also you will be aware of when Kip the Quick Book 2 launches, which that will also have a sale period as well. And don't forget to subscribe to this video on the wherever, and make sure to like it, please. It helps this video get out to more people. So this book, Kip the Quick, it started out when we were actually living in Texas for a year. We grew up in California, and the storms in Texas were just kind of out of this world from our experience, and it really evoked something kind of almost magical to me. So this section I read to you today did not actually address the storms, but they are in the book, and they do have a bigger than life component to them. So I think I am parched, needing of water, and I need to get to work. But when I was writing the book in Texas, and then finished it up in Washington here. Kip's character really just stuck with me. He's just this flippant, witty character. He's damaged. He had a bad childhood. He grew up on the streets. He was an orphan. And he was very charming and full of conflict. So I just could not help myself from, writing this full book here. It all started from just a single scene of him in kind of like a bar with this thing he's stolen that the bartender is starting to realize he has. And it just caught my imagination, and I just went with it. And then, here we have the book. And when I was done, well, I wanted more. And so began Kip the Quick Book 2. It's all part of a trilogy. Book 3 is in process. And I can't wait to share them all with you. So I think that's about it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, dear reader. Visit www.cliftonh.com, subscribe to my newsletter, and read my books. Reading is awesome.